What's up guys, Shadetree Surgeon here with a special release video because Honda just dropped a bomb. And let me tell you why this is shocking enough for me to do a special release video, and that's because Honda doesn't really drop bombs. Out of the big four Japanese manufacturers, Honda is usually the straight A student. Honda is a mathlete and president of the chess club. Honda is waiting till they're married to have sex for the first time, and Honda still wears Fruit of the Loom tighty whities, and you know what? They don't see anything wrong with that. Honda is the kid that brings Boone's Farm blue Hawaiian wine coolers to the keg party, but he still doesn't even drink any because he drove his mom's Subaru Forester there, and she wants that car back in the driveway by 9 p.m. young man, unless you want to lose your Sega Genesis privileges again. But every nerd has his wild side, and sometimes it shines through. You see, the Yamaha WR250R and the Suzuki DRZ400, they're at this street legal high school keg party too. Hell, they always show up to this party, even though they graduated high school years ago and dropped out of community college to work at the Tire Kingdom. The WR and the DRZ, man, they just keep coming back to that same party every year, and they always get older, but those teenagers, they stay the same age. And all the kids think the DRZ and the WR are so cool because they're old enough to buy beer. And they sell everyone overpriced Mexican dirt weed that's mostly seeds and stems. And they finger bang Kimberly, the captain of the cheerleading squad, in the front seat of their New Edge V6 Mustang. And they're totally moving out this year and getting their own apartment as long as the Kalex 250's mom co-signs on the lease. The WR250R and the DRZ400 are by far the coolest 20-somethings at every high school keg party. Until this one. Because when Honda walked in the door this year, they were in a mood. A rare mood to be sure, but the kind of mood that's brought us bikes like the V65 Magna, the XR650R, and the CR500. So this year when Honda walked in the door and he saw the WR and the DRZ standing over by the keg, hitting on the girl he'd had a crush on since the 4th grade, well, he walked right over, set down his Boone's Farm blue Hawaiian, unbuttoned his pleated chinos, and he slapped the WR and the DRZ right across the face with 9 inches of limp dick. The DRZ400 and the WR250R just got knocked the fuck out in front of everybody. And yeah, they might still show up to that keg party next year trying to sell mids to freshmen, but nobody's gonna think they're cool anymore. All the kids are gonna know that there's a new king of the street legal high school keg party, and even though he's wearing whitey tighties and he's gotta have that Forester home before 9, everyone's gonna know that he's packing the most heat between his legs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about goddamn time this happened. Say hello to the biggest cock on the block. The 100% street legal from the factory, CRF450L. And yes, I know, KTM and Husky and other Eurofag brands make street legal 450s and 500s. Hell, even my KTM 300 XCW came off the showroom floor with a plate. But let's be honest here, if this is a street legal high school kegger, then KTM is the weirdo foreign exchange student who just makes too much eye contact, wears linen capris, and always kind of smells like overripe cheese. And sure, he's really great at sports, but when your sport is soccer, nobody at the American keg party is really gonna care. Well, still with me after all that bullshit? Okay, cool. I mean, you should know there's gonna be a fair amount of shit talking. It is the Shadetree Surgeon channel after all. If you want just the facts, there are plenty of other YouTube channels out there that don't enjoy anthropomorphizing multi-million-dollar motorcycle corporations into characters from a John Hughes high school movie like I do. Go get your info from the official Honda press release and eat your baked potatoes dry without butter or salt. And while you're at it, make that mental note to check and see if Dawson's Creek is on Netflix yet while your pale and clammy butt cheeks ineffectually tremble and clench to thrust your half-flaccid penis into your dissatisfied wife, Linda. Yes, Linda, it's the missionary position again. Under the covers, lights off, as usual. We're not animals after all. So yeah, why don't you and all the other nerd virgins go ahead and get the fuck off my lawn, because we do things a little bit differently around here. Anyway, all that aside, I am actually really excited about the CRF450L. So if you weren't already aware, Honda announced a street legal 450 just a few days ago, a real 450. This isn't some repurposed street bike engine or something out of a clunky old four-wheeler. This is straight up the fire-breathing, ass-ripping, high-revving 450 out of Honda's motocross bike. Hell, the whole goddamn bike is basically Honda's CRF450R motocross race bike with turn signals and a horn. There are a few minor differences between the 450R and the 450L. The 450L has a beefier subframe, and the bottom of the frame is wider to accommodate a 6-speed transmission, which is much needed for road use. It has electric start, headlights, turn signals, brake lights, all that jazz, and of course a DOT-approved exhaust system, although I doubt very many of those are going to stay on the bikes for very long. I was very happy to hear they have an increased oil capacity, which is going to be really helpful for street use as well. And of course, even though it is the same engine as the motocross bike, it has, and big quotation marks here, it has been detuned. People always freak the fuck out over that word detuned. I can't really blame them, because when you say the word detuned, what it really sounds like is that Honda just made the bike run like shit because they didn't want you to have the same power as a race bike on the street or in the woods. You should really use a different word besides detuning, because detuning the bike is actually a good thing. You see, motocross bikes, they're actual race bikes. That 450 you see your favorite supercross hero chucking across a 90-foot triple, you can buy that bike, not a watered down version that looks like that bike. You can buy that exact same motorcycle. It's basically the equivalent of walking into a Ford dealership and driving the same GT that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans off the lot, which funnily enough you can actually do for about $450,000. I digress. My point is since these are race bikes, they are built to much more exacting tolerances. They run these bikes on the bleeding edge, man, and they squeeze every bit of horsepower out of every inch of that engine. Great for winning races, just bad for longevity. So when manufacturers take a high-strung 450 race engine and they want to get it ready for the street or for woods use, they'll usually put in a cam that favors torque over horsepower. And for longevity's sake, they'll lower the compression, and since weight isn't as much of a factor, they'll beef up the engine internals a little bit. Yes, they will make slightly less peak horsepower on paper, but they will actually make more power in the places that we need them to make more power in as riders on the street and in the woods. So trust me, detuning is a good thing. Regardless though, this thing is still basically gonna be a motocross bike with lights and a tag. And just because I know it's gonna get brought up like crazy, let me talk about weight real quick. They're claiming 279 with fluids. Yes, that is heavier than the motocross version. Sorry man, electric start, DOT exhaust, and all those lights and all that extra stuff, it's gonna add weight. There ain't no use crying about it. If you don't like it, don't bother buying a street legal bike. And anyway, it's still gonna be one of the lightest dual sport bikes on the market by a wide margin. So that's about as much tech and spec talk as I can really stomach. Let's talk about what the CRF450L means for the motorcycle industry at large, or at least what I hope it means. Let's take a look at what Honda's competition is. These are basically the best two Japanese dirt biased dual sports you can buy. And they are the Yamaha WR250R, which has remained unchanged for over 10 years. And the DRZ400, which has remained unchanged for over 18 fucking years. When you stack up the CRF450L against those two bikes, it's like killing a couple of ants with a sledgehammer. They are not even remotely close to being in the same class that the Honda is. And I'm sure there are just rabid WR and DRZ fanboys just rage smashing death threats against me in the comment section right this very moment. Look out for those down below. And the other ones that you're gonna see are the people who try to sound smart and calm, but just can't stop themselves from just peppering their polite disagreement with personal insults against me, thus showing how fucking butthurt they actually are. Sorry, Chief, doesn't matter how fat you say I am, doesn't matter how much you think my beard sucks or how annoying you think my voice is. That doesn't change the fact that the WR and the DRZ are outdated, slow, and heavy, and should have been put out to pasture years ago. Those two bikes had absolutely no fucking business being the best two options you really had for a street legal dual sport with real off-road capability. And personally, I find it fucking insulting that these were the best two options available in America for years and years and years. It is about goddamn time somebody turned the game on its ear. And trust me, I don't think that the WR or the DRZ are bad motorcycles. I think they're amazing bikes, and I'd be happy to own either one of them. Just don't fool yourself, man. Both those bikes were way past their expiration dates. And yes, you can make either one of those bikes very powerful, very fast, and very capable off-road. What Mr. Duff Factor does with old, heavy motorcycles that have no business being off-road is nothing short of magic. And if taking something that's ill-suited to off-roading with an old, slow, and heavy engine and making it go fast in the dirt despite itself is your thing, then have at it, man. It's a lot of fun to do, and I'm sure it's incredibly rewarding. But the fact that it took this long to buy something Japanese that was good in the dirt with a modern engine and top-of-the-line suspension and a plate is just fucking ridiculous. I'm not normally a Honda fan, but good on them. Shots fired, man, and I personally can't wait to see how Suzuki, Yamaha, and Kawasaki respond to this. Will we get to see a DRZ450 or maybe a WR450R from Yamaha? Will Kawasaki pull its usual move and totally overcompensate with a KLX 500? Hell, maybe I'm totally wrong and this CRF450L is just gonna be a peaky, unreliable piece of shit that's gonna be relegated to an oddity after a few years. Hell, man, at over $10,000 for one of these things, they're right up there with KTM prices, so who knows if they're even gonna sell. I'm just glad that somebody finally fucking decided to try at least, because that's always good for us, and it's good for our sport. I'd love to know what you guys think, so please, let's continue this discussion in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, and if you like the video, leave a like on it for me. It actually really helps out. Till next time, y'all, keep it weird.